Hello and welcome to another informative half-hour journey inside Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry and we are happy to have you. Coming up, our Western Roundup segment returns. Healthwise focuses on COVID-19 and we look at the help available for children having difficulty reading. Keep watching for all these and more after this message.
The new NIDS bill has been drafted and is ready for review. We want to hear from you. Go to www.japarliament.gov.jm to download a copy of the new bill. Join the conversation. Make a written submission to Clerk to the Houses, Gordon House, 81 Duke Street, Kingston, or via email clark@japarliament.gov.jm.
We have extended the time to the 15th of February.
Join the process. Let your voice be heard.
In Western Roundup this week, team member Nikita Sterling takes us on a visit with micro-entrepreneurs in some Western parishes who have benefited from social and economic development support provided by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund. Tag along for more on the work of JSIF out west.
The Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, is creating waves in some St. James communities with their recent donation of over $4 million worth of equipment to micro-enterprises. We take a closer look at that today. Also, we look at the work JSIF continues to do in St. Anne and Trelawney. Stay with us. It promises to be quite the journey. Some 27 small business operators in Mount Salem, Salt Spring and Anchovy are the latest beneficiaries of the Enterprise Development Project being implemented by JSIF under the second phase of the government's Integrated Community Development Project, ICDP. The beneficiaries, who range from restaurant owners, designers to cosmetologists, are praising the move by the government.
So to receive this grant from the Jamaica Social Investment Fund in a time like this is a blessing to us, the beneficiaries. The program has pushed us to better organize our business in terms of creating a comprehensive business plan, assessing our business finances, branding, advertising, and so much more.
So definitely this support from JSIF would extremely help my business to push it to another level, whereas currently I only have one machine right now and I've been awarded another embroidery machine. So this definitely will increase production for me, where I can make hats faster and I can accommodate the lump sum amount of orders I have getting.
Each business will receive up to $400,000 in equipment, and operators also have the benefit of training to better manage their business.
We are providing small enterprises, micro enterprises with grants up to $400,000, and that will be largely in the form of equipment to support their enterprises. And very importantly, and equally important, is the capacity building component. It's very important that we recognize that to be sustainable, the enterprises have to get the equipment, but also very important, they have to receive the training to understand their businesses and to be able to sustain their businesses long after they have been given the equipment.
$1.9 billion has been allocated for the Integrated Community Development Project, which commenced April 1, 2020 and will continue until March 31, 2023. The project's Enterprise Development Project grant will also benefit Denham Town, Greenwich Town and August Town in Kingston and the Treadlight community in Clarendon. Meanwhile, operators of agriculture and tourism enterprises in Trelawney and St. Anne are also lauding JSIF for their recent donation of COVID-19 resilient supplies to their businesses. The small rural enterprises received face masks, face shields, hand sanitizers, and other personal protective equipment, PPE, under the COVID-19 Resilience and Capacity Building Subproject of the Rural Economic Development Initiative, Phase 2 Ready 2.
We feel good because with JSIF and Ready 2 and TPDCO, we know that they're putting out the effort, and we have been with JSIF from Ready 1, like we were engrafted in, and we have been to several meetings with them, and they trained our staff in tour guiding and other aspects of things, a lot of training. So JSIF has been doing a good work.
Collecting this today, I can say I'm very appreciative because it can help when I'm having meeting or we invite individually from other cooperative or other societies to come and visit. This will help us to with the COVID protocol.
The project will directly assist 1,660 beneficiaries, including farming groups and community tourism enterprises. 60 COVID-19 safety point persons will be trained to build the capacity of persons in maintaining the protocols.
We will also train 150 community tourism stakeholders and 1,200 farmers in the area of COVID-19 health and safety protocols. The Train the Trainer programs under this investment, in partnership with RADA, will train 200 extension officers. It will also train 50 TPDCO training officers through the Jamaica Tourist Board and the Ministry of Tourism personnel. This investment is comprehensive.
That's all we have for the program today. Thanks for watching Western Roundup, where we take you from the corners of St. Elizabeth to the hilly terrains of St. Anne. Remember to send us your feedback to jismobe@jis.gov.jm. Until next time, take care.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Government, led by the Ministry of Health, is exploring several avenues to ensure Jamaica has full and early access to safe COVID-19 vaccines for the population. We have an update on that deployment agenda.
We still continue our rigorous surveillance of communities and special settings, such as homes for the elderly and infirmaries, to ensure early detection and mitigation. While we are still in the midst of the pandemic, Madam Speaker, indications are pointing to some success in the management of the spread of the disease and its impact on the health system. We have, through the strong support of the healthcare workers on the ground, not seen the buckling of the health system under the pressures of COVID-19, even though we have had periodic concerns. We have also maintained over time infection rates below 2.5 per 100,000 of population, as well as positivity rates of between 8 and 10%. When compared, Madam Speaker, with international benchmarks, Jamaica can be said to be one of the countries that have been able to manage well the risks that are associated with the pandemic. There are, however, worrying signs. Based on our current assessment, the parishes of St. Anne and Manchester are showing signs of uncontrolled spread. The health departments in those parishes have already begun to ramp up prevention activities with testing and contact tracing, especially for the vulnerable populations. Community interventions, which are key components of the response, have also been initiated with activities in town centers and in at-risk communities. It is at this time that we say to citizens, Madam Speaker, of these parishes that you can reduce the spread of disease through your actions. Pay close attention to the infection prevention and control protocols. Wear your mask, keep physical distance, stay away from large crowds, and wash your hands or sanitize as often as possible. The development and swift global deployment of safe and effective vaccines against COVID-19 is essential to containing the global pandemic. The Ministry has been advised by the COVAX facility that the first batch of vaccines has been increased from an original figure of 1% on that date or that month to 5% which represents, Madam Speaker, a total of some 292,000 doses, enough to vaccinate approximately 146,000 Jamaicans. We have been able to negotiate vaccine dosage prices of some US $10.55 per dose, reduced from the going average price of some $35 per dose. This price is negotiated, Madam Speaker, for 16% of the population and represents phase 1 of Jamaica's vaccine rollout plan. Within this first phase of the program, priority will be given, Madam Speaker, to the following groups and individuals. And this again is not unique to us. It's a case across the world. Healthcare workers, frontline workers, that is, healthcare workers, elderly, 60 years and older, the JDF, Jamaica Defence Force, the JCF, the Jamaica Fire Brigade, the Department of Correctional Services, and our customs officers at our ports of entry. Infirmaries, members of parliament, senators, parish council representatives, and other senior members of the state, residents and staff of nursing homes, and institutionalized individuals, that is, persons in the penal institutions. This, Madam Speaker, this number, based on our assessment, represents some 440,000 individuals. Through vaccination of the elderly, we will immediately cauterize the number of persons who have negative outcomes due to an infection of the COVID-19, and by vaccinating our frontline workers, greater levels of service delivery can be realized through the reduction of their risk profile based on an infection. Agreement has been made to explore bilateral arrangements with countries that have indicated their willingness to partner with Jamaica to ensure the safe vaccination of our population. Accordingly, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, will begin the process of exploring how we can leverage our international engagements to secure additional supply access for safe vaccines. It must be understood that the Ministry of Health and Wellness will maintain its very rigorous process of review for all medical supplies that are administered within our jurisdiction. For the granting of emergency use authorization, the vaccine must meet one of the following criteria, Madam Speaker. Be included, firstly, in the World Health Organization emergency use listing for prevention of SARS-CoV-2 infection, COVID-19. Secondly, be granted authorization for emergency use for prevention of COVID-19 by one of the following stringent national regulatory authorities of reference: the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, Health Canada, and the European Medicines Agency.
What do you need to know about masks for your children? You want to ensure that the mask fits your child snugly, as in it covers their nose, their mouth, and it fits neatly at the side of their face, no gaps. You want to get your children some washable, breathable mask made of fabric. You want to ensure that they carry an extra mask with them, because once that mask gets dirty or wet, they will need to change the mask. When they get home, you want to ensure that those masks are washed and ready for the next day or the other day to come. Also, remind them that they need to wash their hands when they are putting on the mask and when they're taking off the mask. And as much as possible, they should avoid putting their hands at the center of their mask. If it is that they have to make any adjustment to their mask during the day, it's important that they either wash their hands or use their hand sanitizer. Mask wearing is a new normal. Let's get it right.
Children who have difficulty reading and comprehending can get professional help to get over this hurdle and move on to do well academically. A diagnostic reading test available at the Mico University College Child Assessment and Research Education Center is helping with that. Learn more in this feature.
The Jamaica University College Child Assessment and Research in Education Center, a feat made possible by several major players, with renowned educator Professor Errol Miller leading the team, opened its doors in 1981 and over the years has grown to become the first point of contact in the diagnosis, evaluation, and treatment of children with special needs in Jamaica.
In 1975, the Ministry of Education mandated Jamaica College to educate and train teachers for special education. An advisory committee was set up by the college. The committee recommended that Jamaica establish a diagnostic and therapeutic center capable of diagnosing the learning problems of children with multiple disabilities and develop instructional prescriptions for teachers and parents. As psychologists, education specialists, and therapists began to provide services to students, they had to use tests from overseas. Many were not appropriate in content. The assessment of reading posed the greatest challenge. Reading is common to all areas. Students needed the test to be tested individually. The content of reading tests had to reflect the physical and social environments, as well as the lived experience of children.
First published in 1995, the Jamaica Diagnostic Reading Test is an instrument for teachers, diagnosticians, or professionals designed to assess the reading skills of children. Assessment results from this instrument is further used to design educational plans to meet the individual learning needs of the child.
As societies change, more is learned from research and experience gained from practice. Instruments have to be updated, upgraded, and refined. Hence, the Jamaica Diagnostic Reading Test of 2018.
So it's been a number of years since the first edition has been out. So this new version is an updated version in terms of the passages, in terms of the grade range that it covers, and in terms of the subtests that are involved. We're looking at a number of different aspects of reading. We're looking at a child's ability to distinguish sound in the words that they hear. We're looking at their decoding ability, their knowledge of sight words, reading fluency, and their understanding of what they're reading. One of the benefits of this new version, because we're looking at a number of different areas of reading, is that we can be much more targeted in the recommendations that we're creating for teachers and parents. So instead of just saying a child has a reading deficit, we can say maybe they need to learn more sight words, maybe they need to learn, pick up their fluency, maybe they need to target comprehension. So we can focus on the specific area of reading that they're having difficulty with instead of just saying they have a reading concern.
It's administered individually. There are 3 components. There's a sight word, non-words, and reading comprehension. It takes about roughly an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the level at which the child is at. It varies because most of the children already come with reading problems. They are also aware that they have reading problems. So some are nervous, some have anxiety issues. So it's where I come into play, where I have to do some form of encouragement, let them know that the reason why they're doing this test, for me to know their strengths and their weaknesses so that I can help them moving forward. So after the test is completed, I go through and I score. So the test will now tell me the level at which the child is reading. So that also lets me prepare work packets, activities, worksheets, etc. for their level, for their specific reading need.
It helped me to read and tell story and answer a lot of questions.
The MDRT is currently used in a number of countries across the region. It's used in a number of classrooms. We have a number of teachers who come through to be trained on it so that they can pick up the reading challenges that they have in the classroom. So we expect that this new version will all similarly be used across the region.
The new Jamaica Diagnostic Reading Test 2nd edition is now available. Contact the Jamaica Care Center to register for one of our workshops at 876-929-772022 or by email at care_center@cwjamaica.com.
More people are spending a lot more time at home these days due to the pandemic, and that unfortunately means more opportunities for fires to ignite. But the Jamaica Fire Brigade has tips for keeping your home safe from this hazard.
When you have more persons at home, we tend to get more fires. During this global pandemic, we have to remember the children are at home. It is extremely important to never leave them unattended. Make sure that anything that is flammable is kept away from them. A lot more cooking is taking place because a lot more work from home is taking place. That has now become the norm. So be sure that you never leave your cooking unattended for any prolonged period. And when we say prolonged period, all of us will be mindful of whatever it is that we're cooking and the time it takes for boil over to take place. Boil over can actually start a fire. When boil over occurs, it is depleting the water which is in the pot. A part of what the water does is that it maintains temperature and it absorbs the heat that is coming up from the direct flames. So when the water continues to dry out, you're going to get to a point where all the water is gone. Then whatever it is in the pot, if it continues, those things can become what we call embers. So they'll now be set ablaze in the pot. If it's a situation where you're frying, then the temperatures will continue to rise. And we've seen situations of flambe which is in a controlled setting. However, if it's not in a controlled setting, what you're going to have is that the fire will start right there on the stove. If you're cooking, please ensure that as much as is possible, you're tending to what it is that you're cooking. And I must point out very quickly, if you get home and you feel tired, don't tell yourself that you're going to be putting this on and take a nap. Take a nap first and then go and cook. During this time when we're working from home, use the opportunity to get rid of all useless combustible material. We would have seen a ban on bags, plastic, single-use plastic bags. Remember, the term regulator means to regulate. The contents of your gas cylinder are under pressure. The regulator ensures that pressure is taken down to a manageable level, and then the gas is fed to your appliance, in this case your stove. So if the regulator is malfunctioning, it can cause leaks. And once there's a leak and you have open flame, that is a recipe for disaster. We must also point out that we've seen instances in households where persons tend to have the stove below a window, and for some reason they have some nice decorative curtains. Of course, we do not recommend that. I want to use this opportunity to make a general appeal to all Jamaicans. First of all, you do not use sanitizers in your kitchens where there's open flame. A lot more devices are now requiring a lot more energy, so a lot more charging is taking place. A lot more devices might be plugged into plugs that would not have been accommodating this much load. Never ever overload electrical circuits or the sockets. We have to be mindful of the fact that overloading will cause a fire. One of the sure ways to start a fire is by going with the extension cords, those little brown and white extension cords. Those extension cords are not meant to carry any amount of load. It is best if you get a surge protector for all your appliances. The surge protector will, as the name suggests, take a surge in electricity and it will break the circuit to ensure that you are not starting a fire. So it is extremely important to ensure that you are purchasing the right tools for the job at hand. Once they are not in use, plug them out. And it saves on energy as well, because these devices take energy to keep them going, and for the energy to actually get to them, it must pass through the cords that you're using. And I want to point out for you very quickly as well, never ever use extension cords on appliances that have very short cords. There's a reason the manufacturer make your blender with a very short cord. It's because they want them plugged directly into the socket and not into an extension cord, because they pull a lot of energy very, very quickly, and the extension cords might not be able to supply that amount of energy. And one of the ways to know if your extension cord is under pressure is by feeling the temperature of it. So you can use the back of your hand. If the extension cord is warm, it is sending a message to you. And one of the last things I want to leave you with, as an organization, the Jamaica Fire Brigade is open and available at all times. If it is that you have any kind of questions, feel free to call us. Feel free to go into any one of our fire stations, ask for information, ask for safety tips, and we will accommodate you. And remember, in the event of a fire, the numbers to call is your nearest fire station, or 110 or 112.
We're at the end of today's journey. You've been great company, and so be sure to join us again tomorrow for another show. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website, jis.gov.jm, or by subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. All the best until next time. Take care and be good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.